Another good way to potentially look at crypto markets is, they have been cyclic for some time quite now. Have you sort of been conducting a bit of analysis on that and talking to your community on how that's sort of shaping out? What can you sort of say about that?
Yeah, we've definitely been looking at that, because when we get to this stage of the cycle, it's coming to the end, but it's not the end. And there might be sort of that 6 to 12 months, as I said before, and you typically see some pretty significant gains in that period. And of course, if you want to get a little bit more risky, or a lot more risky, you go down to the lower caps with the cryptocurrencies and altcoins. And I think if this is going to be that more substantial pullback that we've been waiting for, kind of into like a wave 4 in your Elliott wave counts on a macro scale here for Bitcoin, then you're potentially going to see good buying opportunities on altcoins because of that pullback. So that could be another good entry opportunity, as opposed to waiting for when they're pumping and they're at high prices and everyone at work's talking about them, and the same old sayings, your family's talking to you about it and the neighbors are talking about it. So I think if we do see that bit of a cool off and the pullback, then that might be a good entry opportunity, provided you get into some strong altcoins. And I talk a lot about that on my channel, following different charts of how to do that, comparing the altcoin against their Bitcoin value.
Yeah, and just to, I guess, talk specifics and rattle off maybe some indicators you're looking at right now to sort of maybe call when the altcoins could start to be a more favorable trade. What can you sort of speak to about that?
Looking at different altcoins, stuff that might be stronger than other altcoins, or confirming the uptrend, we often look at support and resistance, but in a more, let's say, technical way that has a little bit more objectivity around it. We would use our Gann swing indicator. And so with that indicator, you're able to assess strength on the short term and the longer term, and not just sort of guess where these levels are. So that's always a key indicator that I use to identify whether that trend is ready to go up, as opposed to just trying to catch a falling knife. And a lot of people sort of think, yeah, the crypto's going down, that means it's going to go up. It's 800% from its previous old all-time high. It doesn't really mean anything. I mean, take XRP as an example, as I love to do, and just crap all over that, which, usually offends some people, but, I'm not in it. I don't care, offending. It's money at the end of the day. And I prefer to put my money where something is strong as opposed to where something is weak. And I just look at the chart for that. So it doesn't matter what the name is on it. It's just if the chart looks weak, then I'll stay away from it. And if the chart looks stronger, I'll go with that.
Yeah, well said. And I think the point you're trying to make is, while something might be 800% from an all-time high, there's nothing stopping it falling another 40, 50% before it then proceeds to move to that target. And a lot of people I know in my circles, when they do have a bit of emotion in the game, it's when they've got too much in the game. So, if it's keeping you up at night and you're thinking about the position, you're probably way too exposed in a very, very on-risk market. So, yeah, it's a very good shout.
Yeah. And not only that, if if it's 800% from the high, it could still fall 40 or 50%. But it's not even worse, but let's say it's even worse if you're in this stage of cryptocurrency and an altcoin season. If you're picking up the weaker stuff, then you're missing out on the bigger gains from some other crypto that doesn't have all this overhead resistance. So although this crypto might be up a lot more and you're like, oh, well, it's way from its bottom, I've missed out, it's in a strong position for a reason. And so it kind of does the fundamental analysis for you, where it's showing you on the chart that it's in a stronger position. Yes, it's up from its low, but that's because there is strength there. That's because there's real reason for it to be higher than its low, as opposed to something that's much lower. So yeah, I think it's important. That's a big one that I see most people miss. New traders or investors and old traders or investors, they still miss that. They still don't understand that just because something's high doesn't mean that it's overvalued. It means that there's strength there for a reason.